Seniors, stop. Never refrigerate these 9 foods. They can turn toxic. Imagine opening your fridge late at night and realizing the very foods you thought you were keeping safe may actually be poisoning you. For seniors, this danger is even greater, because as we age, our digestive system slows down, our immune defenses weaken, and the smallest mistake in food storage can trigger infections, bloating, or even hospital visits. Yet most people over 60 keep making the same simple but deadly errors, refrigerating foods that were never meant to be chilled. Studies from the CDC have shown that foodborne illness hits older adults harder than any other group, sometimes doubling the risk of hospitalization compared to younger people. And here's the frightening part. Some of these mistakes aren't just inconvenient. They can literally turn your daily staples toxic inside your fridge. Today, we'll uncover the 9 foods that should never, ever be refrigerated, no matter how long you've been doing it. And trust me, by the end of this video, you may want to reorganize your entire kitchen. Number 9. Tomatoes. Many seniors believe that the refrigerator is the safest place to keep everything fresh, but when it comes to tomatoes, that habit can ruin more than just their taste. Tomatoes contain delicate cell structures that break down quickly under cold temperatures, turning what was once juicy and flavorful into a grainy, watery mess. But here's the real danger. Cold storage not only destroys their texture, but also reduces the natural antioxidants like lycopene, which are critical for heart health and cancer prevention in seniors over 60. Research from Cornell University has shown that tomatoes stored below 50 degrees Celsius lose up to 65% of their antioxidant power within just a few days. That means the very nutrients protecting your arteries and eyesight are gone by the time you slice them into a salad. And worse, once cold damages the skin, moisture seeps in, creating the perfect environment for mold and bacteria growth. Especially dangerous for older adults with weaker immune systems. I remember a senior named Carol, 72, who told me she used to keep bags of tomatoes in her fridge for weeks. She constantly felt bloated, had stomach cramps, and thought it was just old age. But when her doctor suggested she stop refrigerating tomatoes and eat them fresh, many of her digestive issues disappeared within 2 weeks. This simple mistake had been sabotaging her gut health for years. Better tip: always keep tomatoes at room temperature, away from direct sunlight, and consume them within 5 to 7 days. If they start ripening too fast, consider turning them into sauce or soup instead of chilling them. You'll protect both their flavor and the antioxidants your body desperately needs after 60. Number 8. Potatoes. It might feel natural to toss potatoes into the fridge, but for seniors, this mistake could quietly harm your health in ways you'd never expect. Potatoes are full of starch, and when exposed to cold temperatures, that starch rapidly converts into sugar. While you may not notice much at first, the problem arises when you cook them, especially baking, frying, or roasting. Those excess sugars react with amino acids and form acrylamide, a chemical linked to cancer risk, according to the FDA. For older adults whose bodies don't detoxify as efficiently, this can build up and increase long-term dangers. Even more alarming, refrigeration encourages the development of green spots and sprouts, which are loaded with solanine, a toxic compound that can cause nausea, headaches, and neurological symptoms. Seniors with weaker kidneys or liver function are particularly vulnerable to these toxins. I once spoke with a retired teacher, John, age 68, who admitted he had been refrigerating big bags of potatoes to make them last. He suffered constant digestive upset and occasional dizziness, blaming it on stress or medications. After his daughter suggested removing the potatoes from the fridge and storing them in a cool, dark pantry instead, his stomach issues noticeably eased, and his energy levels improved. Sometimes it's not the medicine, it's the food we've been mishandling for years. Better tip: store potatoes in a breathable paper bag or basket in a dark, cool place like a pantry or cellar, never in plastic and never in the fridge. This keeps them fresh for weeks without triggering harmful chemical changes, and it protects your health as you age. Number 7. Onions. Onions are a kitchen staple for almost every senior household, adding flavor to soups, stews, and salads. But putting them in the refrigerator is one of the worst storage mistakes you can make. Cold and humid environments break down onions' natural protective layers, causing them to soften, turn slimy, and even grow dangerous mold that spreads faster than you realize. What's more concerning is that once moisture penetrates an onion, it becomes a magnet for bacteria such as E. coli and Salmonella, which can multiply quickly in cut or bruised onions. For seniors over 60, even a mild bacterial infection can trigger severe diarrhea, dehydration, or hospitalization. A study published in the Journal of Food Protection revealed that onions stored in refrigerators were almost 3 times more likely to develop harmful microbes compared to those stored in dry conditions. There's also the nutritional side. Onions are rich in compounds like quercetin, which supports circulation and reduces inflammation, especially important for aging joints and heart health. But refrigeration depletes these compounds by breaking down the very sulfur bonds that make onions medicinal in the first place. I remember an older gentleman named Walter, 74, who complained of constant sinus irritation and coughing that he blamed on allergies. But his doctor discovered that mold from refrigerated onions was contributing to his respiratory flare-ups. Once he stopped keeping onions in the fridge and stored them properly, his breathing issues eased within weeks, and his kitchen smelled fresher too. Better tip: always store whole onions in a mesh bag or basket in a cool, dark, and ventilated space, never in the fridge. Keep them away from potatoes, since gases from potatoes make onions spoil faster. If you've already cut an onion, wrap it tightly and use it within 24 hours. But remember, whole onions are healthiest and safest when kept dry and at room temperature. Number 6. Garlic. Garlic has been praised for centuries as one of nature's strongest healing foods. Seniors often rely on it to support blood pressure, improve circulation, and strengthen immunity. But when garlic is placed in the refrigerator, its natural defenses break down, and instead of protecting your body, it can turn into a hidden health hazard. The cold, damp environment inside a fridge creates condensation on the garlic's thin, papery skin. That moisture seeps in, and within days, mold spores begin to grow. The danger here is that mold on garlic isn't always visible at first. You might cut open a clove that looks normal, but it can already be contaminated with toxins that cause nausea, stomach cramps, and fatigue. For seniors, whose immune response is weaker, these effects can feel overwhelming, especially if they already battle chronic conditions like diabetes or heart disease. But that's not the only risk. When refrigerated garlic sits too long, there's another more sinister danger: botulism. Garlic stored in cold, airless containers like jars of oil becomes the perfect breeding ground for Clostridium botulinum, a bacterium that produces a deadly toxin. According to the CDC, botulism is rare but highly dangerous, especially for older adults. It can cause muscle weakness, double vision, difficulty breathing, and in severe cases, paralysis. Just imagine thinking you're boosting your health with garlic, only to invite such a risk into your kitchen. The nutritional losses are also serious. Fresh garlic is loaded with allicin, the sulfur compound that gives it its pungent smell and healing properties. But refrigeration causes allicin to degrade quickly, meaning the garlic you thought was helping your arteries and immune system has lost most of its power. I recall a widow named Linda, age 70, who told me she had been keeping jars of garlic, cloves in her refrigerator for months. She suffered constant bloating and fatigue, assuming it was just old age catching up. But when a nutritionist advised her to stop refrigerating garlic and only use it fresh from a cool, dry pantry, she noticed her digestion improved and her energy returned. What she thought was inevitable aging was actually a preventable food mistake. Better tip: always store garlic bulbs in a dry, ventilated container at room temperature, never in the fridge and never sealed in plastic. A simple basket or paper bag in your pantry will keep garlic fresh for weeks while preserving its healing compounds. If you want to store peeled cloves in oil, freeze them instead of refrigerating to prevent botulism risk. This way, garlic remains a true medicine for your heart and immunity, not a hidden danger. Number 5. Bread. Bread is one of the most common foods in senior households, whether it's a simple slice of toast in the morning or a sandwich for lunch. But keeping bread in the refrigerator is one of the fastest ways to ruin both its safety and its nutrition. Cold air accelerates a process called starch retrogradation. This means the starch molecules in bread recrystallize when exposed to low temperatures, causing the loaf to dry out, harden, and lose its natural softness within hours. Many seniors believe the fridge keeps bread fresher, but in truth, it just makes it go stale faster while robbing it of the warm texture that aids digestion. And here's the more alarming part. Refrigeration doesn't just change the texture, it encourages mold to thrive once condensation forms. Bread is porous, meaning moisture seeps in quickly. Mold spores are often invisible at first, but they produce mycotoxins that can irritate the stomach, damage the liver, and suppress immunity. For older adults, who may already be taking medications that strain the liver, these toxins pose a greater risk. A recent study in Food Control Journal found that refrigerated bread samples developed mold 2 times faster than bread stored properly at room temperature in a dry environment. And many seniors unknowingly eat slices with just a little green spot, thinking it's harmless. In reality, those invisible mycotoxins can spread throughout the loaf even if you don't see them. I once met a retired nurse, Helen, 76, who said she had been keeping whole loaves of bread in her refrigerator to stretch her grocery trips. She thought she was saving money, but instead, she dealt with weeks of stomach discomfort and fatigue. When her doctor reviewed her eating habits, the advice was simple. Stop refrigerating bread, freeze what you won't eat within a few days, and always toast or heat frozen bread before eating. Within a month, Helen noticed fewer digestive issues, clearer skin, and steadier energy. Sometimes small shifts make the biggest difference. Better tip: store bread at room temperature in a bread box, cloth bag, or paper bag, away from direct sunlight and excess moisture. For long-term storage, slice the loaf and freeze it, then thaw or toast slices as needed. This keeps bread fresh, safe and nourishing without feeding mold or losing quality. Number 4. Honey. Honey has been called liquid gold for thousands of years. Seniors often keep a jar in their kitchen to soothe a sore throat, sweeten tea, or even heal wounds. It's naturally antibacterial, antioxidant-rich, and, when stored correctly, can last for decades without spoiling. But the refrigerator is the worst possible place for honey. Cold temperatures cause honey to crystallize rapidly, turning its smooth golden texture into a hard, gritty mass. While crystallization itself isn't dangerous, the real problem begins when seniors try to fix it by reheating the honey in the microwave or stovetop. Overheating honey destroys its enzymes, antioxidants, and natural antibacterial compounds, leaving behind nothing but sugary syrup. This means the very food that was supposed to protect your heart, fight inflammation, and support your immune system has been stripped of its power. Even worse, condensation inside the jar from refrigeration introduces moisture, which can trigger fermentation. Fermented honey doesn't just lose flavor. It can harbor yeasts and bacteria that upset digestion, especially in older adults whose stomach lining and gut flora are already more fragile. I remember a senior couple, Margaret and Paul, both in their early 70s, who swore by honey every morning in their tea. They had been refrigerating it for years, frustrated that it kept turning cloudy and thick. Margaret often complained about bloating and stomach cramps afterward, while Paul noticed his blood sugar spiking unusually high. Their nutritionist explained that refrigeration had ruined the honey's natural balance, leaving behind mostly sugars and introducing microbial growth. Once they switched to properly stored honey, Margaret's digestive issues eased, and Paul's energy became more stable. Their story shows how a simple storage mistake can slowly rob seniors of both health and comfort. The tragedy here is that honey, when kept correctly, is one of the few foods on Earth that literally never spoils. Archaeologists have found jars of honey in Egyptian tombs that were still perfectly edible after 3,000 years. But a refrigerator can ruin it in weeks. Better tip: always store honey in a tightly sealed glass jar at room temperature, away from direct sunlight. If crystallization happens, place the jar in a bowl of warm water and stir gently. Never microwave it. This way, you preserve its healing, enzymes, antioxidants, and natural purity that seniors need to strengthen immunity and soothe inflammation. Number 3. Olive oil. Olive oil is often called liquid medicine for seniors, protecting the heart, lowering inflammation, and supporting brain health. Doctors recommend it as part of the Mediterranean diet, one of the healthiest eating patterns for people over 60. But putting olive oil in the refrigerator is a mistake that not only ruins its texture, but can quietly rob it of its health benefits. In the cold, olive oil solidifies into a cloudy, waxy mass. While some seniors see this as proof of purity, in reality, it's a sign that the delicate balance of fatty acids is breaking down under the wrong conditions. Repeatedly taking the bottle in and out of the fridge causes condensation to form inside, introducing water droplets. This water triggers oxidation, making the oil rancid faster, even if it still smells okay. Rancid oils are extremely dangerous for older adults. They produce free radicals that damage cells, accelerate aging, and strain the liver. A 2018 study in food chemistry showed that rancid olive oil not only loses antioxidants like polyphenols, but actually becomes pro-inflammatory, the exact opposite of what seniors need. The danger is that rancid oil doesn't always taste bad. Many people can't detect it, yet it silently harms the body. I recall speaking with a widow named Dorothy, 79, who told me she had been keeping her expensive extra virgin olive oil in the refrigerator to make it last longer. Over time, she noticed her cholesterol rising and more frequent joint pain, even though she thought olive oil was supposed to help. Her nutritionist explained that the refrigeration and repeated condensation had ruined her oil. When she switched to properly stored fresh olive oil, her cholesterol levels began improving again, and she said her joints felt less stiff within months. Imagine spending money on high-quality oil only to strip it of the very compounds your body needs most after 60. Better tip: store olive oil in a dark glass bottle, tightly sealed, at room temperature, in a cool, dark pantry. Keep it away from sunlight, heat, and the fridge. Always buy smaller bottles to ensure freshness and use them within a few months. This way, your olive oil remains a powerful medicine for your heart, brain, and longevity. Number 2. Coffee. For millions of seniors, coffee isn't just a drink. It's a ritual. The warm aroma in the morning, the comfort of a cup with friends, the energy boost to start the day. But many older adults make the mistake of keeping ground coffee or even beans in the refrigerator, thinking it will preserve freshness. The truth is chilling. Refrigeration doesn't preserve coffee. It ruins it, and worse, it exposes seniors to hidden health risks. Coffee is extremely porous, meaning it absorbs odors and moisture from its surroundings like a sponge. Inside, a refrigerator, beans, or grounds quickly soak up the smells of onions, leftovers, or even plastic containers. What you end up brewing isn't pure coffee but a chemical cocktail of absorbed particles. Even worse, condensation forms every time you take the container in and out of the fridge. That moisture clings to the beans, jump-starting mold growth and breaking down natural oils. Studies published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found that moldy coffee can produce ochratoxin A, a dangerous compound linked to kidney damage and immune suppression. For seniors over 60, especially those with pre-existing kidney or liver conditions, this toxin can quietly erode health over time. And while many people assume mold is easy to spot, ochratoxin can exist in beans long before you ever see visible growth. Another danger lies in the very antioxidants that make coffee protective for the brain and heart. Polyphenols and chlorogenic acids, which help fight inflammation and reduce dementia risk, degrade rapidly when exposed to moisture and fluctuating cold temperatures. That means the cup of coffee you thought was supporting memory and heart function may be stripped of its protective compounds. I remember a retired librarian named Alice, 73, who swore by her morning coffee but always stored it in the fridge. She constantly complained of indigestion and fatigue, chalking it up to age. When a dietitian suggested she switch to pantry storage in an airtight container, Alice was skeptical. But within weeks, her digestion improved, her energy stabilized, and she said her coffee tasted alive again. It wasn't just flavor, it was her body thanking her. Better tip: always store coffee beans or grounds in an airtight, opaque container at room temperature in a cool, dark cupboard, never in the fridge. Buy smaller batches, grind fresh when possible, and enjoy within 2 weeks for maximum health. Benefits: this preserves both the taste and the protective antioxidants your body needs most after 60. Number 1. Eggs. Eggs are one of the most consumed foods among seniors. They're affordable, high in protein, and packed with nutrients like vitamin B12 and choline, which support memory and nerve health. But keeping eggs in the refrigerator, due to a habit nearly every household follows, can actually increase risks instead of preventing them. The problem is twofold: contamination and temperature instability. Each time you open the fridge, warm air rushes in and hits the door, causing eggs to repeatedly shift between cold and slightly warmer temperatures. This fluctuation creates condensation on the shells, and that moisture acts like a superhighway for bacteria such as salmonella to penetrate the porous shell and reach the yolk. For seniors over 60, salmonella infections can be life-threatening, leading to dehydration, severe intestinal distress, and sometimes hospitalization. According to the CDC, older adults are one of the highest risk groups for egg-borne illnesses, with hospitalization rates nearly double those of younger people. But the dangers don't stop there. Cold storage in unstable spots like the fridge door also damages the egg's natural protective cuticle, reducing shelf life and allowing faster spoilage. And here's the twist. Many seniors think refrigerating eggs extends freshness indefinitely, but studies show improperly stored eggs can actually spoil faster than those kept at a consistent cool room temperature. I once spoke with a widower named Frank, 75, who kept his weekly batch of eggs in the fridge door. He began experiencing recurring stomach cramps and diarrhea, believing it was due to medication side effects. After a food safety consultant visited his senior community and explained the egg storage mistake, Frank changed his habit, keeping eggs in the main body of the fridge, in their original carton, away from fluctuating air. Within weeks, his stomach troubles vanished. It wasn't his medicine. It was a lifetime habit he thought was safe. Better tip: always store eggs in their original carton on a middle shelf inside the fridge, never in the door. This keeps temperature stable and prevents condensation that encourages bacterial growth. For seniors especially, this simple shift can mean the difference between safe nutrition and a dangerous infection. So there you have it. 9 everyday foods that almost every senior keeps in the refrigerator, not realizing that this simple habit can quietly strip them of nutrients, ruin their flavor, or even turn them toxic. From tomatoes that lose their antioxidants, to potatoes that form cancer-linked chemicals, to onions and garlic that invite mold and botulism, bread that breeds mycotoxins, honey that ferments into sugar water, olive oil that turns rancid, coffee that carries hidden toxins, and eggs that open the door to salmonella. The danger is not in the food itself, but in how we store it. For seniors over 60, every small mistake in storage has bigger consequences because our bodies are less forgiving and our immune systems less resilient. The good news? Every one of these mistakes is completely preventable. With just a few shifts, keeping tomatoes on the counter, garlic in the pantry, bread in a bread box, coffee in an airtight jar, you can protect your health, preserve nutrition, and enjoy your meals the way nature intended. Food should heal, not harm. Now I want to hear from you. Have you been refrigerating any of these foods without realizing the risks? Which one surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's help other seniors avoid these mistakes too. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more simple but life-saving senior health tips.